What's up, everybody? I'm Simon Sabra, and today I got for y'all my main manga reading log. So before we get into that, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Simon Sabra YT. Link will always be down in the description. Also, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, hit that bell so you never miss an upload, all of that good stuff. Also, as usual, make sure you comment down anything you've been reading recently. Would you recommend it? How you been feeling about it? Whatever, anything like that whatsoever. But with all that out the way, let's just jump right into it. Alright, so real quick, happy June, everybody. I think this goes up on like June 2nd or 3rd, something like that. But happy June to everybody. I hope you guys are doing amazing, enjoying your time, just, having the best days ever. But let's kind of just jump into the list. Just wanted to say that really quickly. So we are going to start out with what we're talking about in the thumbnail, and that is volume 1, or the first volume of Dark Gathering by Kenichi Kondo. So this manga came out at the time of y'all seeing this last month. And honestly, just to start out with, this volume cover, or honestly just the whole volume in general, is beautiful. Honestly, the character design, if it's like focused on it well enough, but the character design and just the background, the colors used, honestly, it is beautiful, and is really the main reason I picked this up. It is one that I was excited for it to come out quite some time ago, and it finally came out, so of course had to get it. So here's the thing. Before I jump into the actual story of it, I did hear that it is getting an anime. Not sure how true this is. It was kind of a friend that told me, so like I said, not sure how true this is. I haven't heard about it from anywhere else, but if it is, cool, because while reading it, I kind of imagine anime scenes of it, if that makes sense. But I do want to say really quickly, as far as the actual story of volume 1 goes, it kind of felt like a bit of a slow burn. But let me first off kind of give the scenario. So it's about this guy here, name I don't remember as usual, but it's about this guy here, and he attracts a lot of spirits. Kind of reminds me of Phantom Seer, or some what's the name of that one called? I forgot the name. Inspector, something like that, where the main character just kind of attracts spirits a little bit unwantingly. Or Tokyo Demon Bride story also reminds me a bit like that, but literally only in those aspects. And so he's cursed with something that gets revealed later on. Not gonna spoil it in case you do plan on reading it yourself. And then because he's cursed, he hurt somebody. He doesn't want to hurt people anymore with his curse, so he kind of secluded himself. Now he's trying to rehabilitate back into society. And so he gets this job to tutor this little girl here, who is the girl on the cover. And that little girl has a very big obsession with spirits and the supernatural and haunted and stuff like that. So she kind of drags him along to haunted places and stuff like that, because he's literally a spirit magnet. And so I'm not really gonna say what her motives are. It is revealed in this volume, and I think even in the first chapter actually, but I'm not gonna say it, just so y'all have a little bit of your own incentive to go check it out yourself. But honestly, the only I guess gripe that I have with this manga is the paneling. Very specific, I know, but the paneling at times feels a little bit boring to me. I don't know, maybe it's just me, maybe I'm being picky, I don't know. But the paneling at times just didn't look that good for me. But honestly, that's my only gripe with it. Does have a little bit of comedy elements. It doesn't take itself too seriously, which is good for this kind of story, because it's not all horror. Doesn't, like I said, doesn't take itself too seriously, which I find good. Characters so far are pretty interesting, and honestly, it's overall a pretty good start to a series. Will I be picking up the next volume? Honestly, this sounds bad, but if it has a volume cover as beautiful as this one, yeah, I'm gonna pick it up. But that's I'm not too motivated to continue reading it. It was okay. I'd probably give it on a scale of -10 to +10, I'd probably give it a 3 or a 4. So it was pretty enjoyable, but I don't know, depends. I don't know, maybe we'll kind of see how I feel about it as time goes on. But just as a heads up, literally I think like everything else on this list is romance. Like it's the only thing I read last month except for Dark Gathering. So bear with me if you're not into romance, but usually I'm not into romance either, I'll be very honest, but something about this month kind of hit different. After that, we do have I Want to Eat Your Pancreas, which is just this one complete volume. Now, this one I believe was the member recommendation from maybe a month or two ago. I could be wrong, from Lance. Thank you, like shout out Lance for this one, because this one is a banger. This was, I think, like the first thing I actually read for this month. I was in the mood for like a complete story in just one volume. And so I was like, okay, well, let me grab this, you know? And it hit, man. I know a lot of people are probably familiar with this because it is a pretty like big series, especially the movie. But I never seen the movie or anything like that, and this was amazing. Honestly, and I am gonna spoil it because I'm kind of assuming everyone else already knows about it, but it's about this guy. In the beginning, he doesn't really have a name until like literally the last maybe 5 pages you learn his name. But main character, we'll call him the main character, MC. Basically, he's a nobody, not really sociable, doesn't talk to people unless he has to, very blah, whatever, you know? And then there's this girl who's like a vibrant person, very sociable, like the complete opposite basically. And due to a turn of events, they start hanging out, and those turn of events is that main character finds out that this girl has a pancreas issue. I'm not sure what like the correct terminology for it was, but something's wrong with her pancreas. And she's like scheduled to die, and I think it was like a year or something. So honestly, I was like reading it, it just felt so, it felt chill, kind of like it felt really good to read, if that makes sense. And then as the story went on, you see her condition like starting to worsen. She's at the hospital more. And so I never knew how it ended, and I was like, dang, she's probably gonna, you know, die from the condition or something like that, or maybe she'll overcome it, I don't know. And it was like, literally, like as the back of the book says, it was a bittersweet romance. That's the best way I could put it. Honestly, but the way that it ended hurt me to my core. And I was talking about it with someone else, like I think maybe a day or two ago. But the way that it ended hurt so much because, like I said, spoilers, but she didn't actually die to her condition. She died because she got murdered. And the murderer was like, well, it was kind of foreshadowed, like literally maybe like the first or second page. And it was like, dude, it hurt so bad. I'm not even gonna lie. But it's honestly such a beautiful story, like towards the end. And I know even though I just spoiled it, if you haven't read it yet, go read it. It's amazing. Like, definitely, honestly, I think I can confidently say this was probably like my favorite read for this month. Like, it was really good, and I think it kind of set that romance tone for me for the rest of the month. All right, so moving on, after that we do have Rascal Does Not Dream of a Petite Devil Kohai. If you guys can see it and the glare isn't too bad, but we do have this. Like I said, literally everything after is like romance. This was, I believe, the second thing I read. Like I said, I kind of just wanted a complete story in one volume, and that was this. And honestly, I don't think I liked it as much as Bunny Girl Senpai, but it was still very, very interesting. And so what made it interesting is that instead of like in volume 1 where Mai Sakurajima kind of started to disappear to everybody because that's what she wanted, it's about this other girl who's I honestly forgot her name, but the girl on the cover, and her dream is to kind of rewind time in order for her to get like the most like satisfying result possible. And it ends up in this like interesting time loop. And if you know anything about me, I love a good time loop story. But that's pretty much the basis for this volume. I'm not sure if there's any more volumes that are like in manga format. I'm pretty sure there are in light novel, but honestly, it was a cool volume. Can't really speak too much on it. I did enjoy it. Don't really remember too much of it. Like, it didn't stick to my brain that well, but it was still enjoyable nonetheless. Kind of now moving on. So from here we are gonna get into the member recommendations from last month, and we're gonna talk about those because they are also both romance. Funny enough. So this one was one from Lance as well, being Ladies on Top Volume 1. This volume was hilarious, very interesting, and funny enough, actually, now that I think about it, both of the recommendations are kind of similar in a sense. And so this volume, honestly, real quick, I think I am, well, I think I'm gonna get volume 2 because this is kind of peak friction. It was kind of peak friction. So it's about this dude who has like, okay, so it's about this dude, don't remember his name, but basically he really wants to do, but in a way that, like, how do I put this? Because of like male social standards, he wants to be the masculine one. He wants to be the top, you know, technically the dominant one. You know what I'm trying to say here. But his like body and mind just don't really agree with that ideology, and so he can only get it up when he's the bottom. And then there's this girl who's like the complete opposite, because due to like female whatever I just said, social standards, social norms, whatever the word is, she wants to be the bottom, but her body and mind wants her to be the top. And it's very interesting, like the dynamic of it, because it feels taboo to the characters, but it's what their body wants. And it's honestly very interesting because they're kind of just exploring and trying to understand themselves as well as each other, and like what they dislike, how much they can tolerate. And it's very interesting, very cute as well. And honestly, I'm excited to read more of it. It was pretty interesting. I don't know how much more volumes there are. I don't know if it's complete or not, but just this first volume alone was like really fun. I'm not gonna lie. I would give this probably like scale -10 to +10. I think I'd probably give it like a good 5 or a 6. Very enjoyable, and I do plan on getting the next volume for it. And so moving on to the other member recommendation from Books and Ray, or Book and Ray. I think it's Books and Ray or Books and Ray. I always like, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, but it was On or Off. And so I did read volume 1, and I think this was like the most recent thing I read before this recording. So it's relatively fresh in my mind, and I think they said it's 3 or 4 volumes long. So I'm probably gonna I think I am actually gonna pick up the rest of the volumes. So just to start out, I can't really show the first couple of pages. It is a manhwa, so it is fully colored, but the way it started out wasn't really interesting to me, I'll be honest. It's about this group of basically geniuses who start a mobile app company so that they could advertise it. I really forgot how the beginning went because, like I said, the beginning wasn't really that interesting to me. It was cool. The characters so far are fun. I don't feel like we know enough about like these supporting characters. This is the main character, but these 3 supporting characters, I don't feel like we know enough about them, except that they're really antisocial but geniuses. That's kind of all we know. So yeah, this lady here organizes the group and like gets them all together, but then she has to go on a business trip to kind of cover for one of her parents, leaving them to kind of focus on the company by themselves. And so they work on this app, blah blah blah. And okay, here's where it got interesting. Like starting in chapter 2 is where it got really interesting. So this is like, I don't think CEO is the right term, but he's like up there in the company that they're trying to work with. And so this guy is, okay, so he's gay, and so this guy is his type. I hope I worded that right. And so he kind of like falls for him at first sight, and blah blah blah, stuff happens, like a lot of stuff happens. So basically he has to do the presentation for the group's app to that guy and, you know, the other people in that corporation, and stuff happens. He flops completely, and so he gets this opportunity to put his files, like, you know, the data regarding it, and a little memo or demo tape of the game on his desk. And so a lot happens. So, oh gosh, he meets the guy at this bar on accident, or not on accident, it was on purpose. And stuff happens. Like I've been saying, a lot of stuff happens that I can't show. I just can't show it. And so he ends up giving the that company the role to represent their app or something. I'm really bad at explaining this, I'm sorry. But from there, the book was up. I ain't even gonna lie, the book was up. And honestly, I think I am definitely gonna get the next set of volumes for it. It was really good, and knowing it's 4 volumes, very manageable. Trying to stay away from like longer series. That's probably plays a part into why I'm not gonna collect the rest of Dark Gathering, because it's probably a longer series, I'd imagine. But that, on or off, I'd probably give that also like a good 6.5, 7 maybe. I did really enjoy it, especially because, like I said, the first like chapter was really slow for me, and then after that it just took off. And when I read that last page, I was like, dang, I need the rest of this, honestly. But moving into our last read for this month, physically at least, I do want to talk about one digital manga, if the video is not going on too long by then. But this was 100% my favorite read, actually. Easy 10, and that is A Home Far Away. This manga was phenomenal. Sadly, it was one of the first few ones I read as well, so I don't remember too much of it, but it was phenomenal. It's about these 2 dudes, and they just want to escape. One guy comes from a very devout religious family, and he kind of just wants to get away from it because he feels like he can't really be himself, and he doesn't want to deal with the pressure, all of that, you know, good stuff. And then there's this other guy who's just a wanderer, and they meet up, and it's honestly, in truth, it didn't even feel like a BL, if I'm being honest. It just felt like a really good story about 2 dudes trying to escape from situations that they were born into that were out of their control. And the way it ended was just so amazing. I'm not going to talk too much about the story because, like I said, I don't really remember enough of it to feel, you know, confident talking about it. But it was really good. The art in here is also amazing, honestly. And it was just such a good overall story. And I know it feels kind of strange saying it's my favorite read and I can't really talk too much about it, but I read a lot. And the main thing I have been reading this month, which I'm probably going to put some pictures up as I talk. Hopefully I can find some good pictures of it. But it is this manga that does not have an English yet, or maybe never will. And it is called To My Dearest Self with Malice Afterthought. I'll put a picture up on screen. For one, the volume covers for this manga are fire. And the manga overall is great. So just really quickly, because I'm not going to talk about everything because the video is getting a little bit long at this point, but it's about this dude named Urashima Eiji, and he is the son of one of the most like notorious serial killers. And so the guy Eiji has split personalities, and one day there's a murder that happens in the same iconic style of his father, like the way his father would kill people. And so we don't know much about his split personality. We don't know anything. But what happens is that when he goes to sleep, he wakes up 3 days later and a lot of things change. And we could only chalk it up to his split personality doing stuff. And it is really good. I'm not going to say too much, but there's so much plot twist in it. I think it's like 96, 97 chapters. So much plot twist. The story was amazing. All of the characters were great. The way it just ties around, and it is a story of revenge and hatred. Oh my God, I love it. That also up there. Like I said, not gonna talk too much about it because it's one of those stories where the less you know, the better. And I would definitely recommend checking it out. It is a great seinen manga. If it gets licensed in English, I'd definitely buy it. But that's really it for the video. Thank you all so much for watching. Let's give a quick shout out to our channel members. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. It means the most to me, and I appreciate you guys' recommendations every single time. But once again, be sure to follow me on Instagram at SimonSabraYT. Link will always be down in the description. Also, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, hit that bell so you never miss an upload, all of that good stuff. Once again, make sure you comment down anything you've been reading recently. How'd you feel about the stuff I've read? Did you read Dark Gathering? Anything like that whatsoever? But that's it for me. This is Simon Sabra signing out. I catch you on the next one.